Well, good evening, Galen land, wherever you may be in North America, the Philippines, Australia. And this is John Gluckman, and this is the first of what may be a dozen or more calls in what we're calling the Ruby and Above series. And it's not for rubies and above, it's for all of us to learn from those people that have already ranked up to ruby and above. And the purpose of the call, obviously summer gets a little quiet. We have a major event that we're working up to in 97 days, which is the Las Vegas convention, where we're going to have amazing announcements, new products, recognition of success, and, an amazing future will unfold for the rest of us. But we wanted to, through the summer, highlight some of the folks that have already had some success and maybe learn from them some of the techniques, some of the gems that they've picked up along the way. Some have had more experience in networking, some less. But the focus is going to be me asking a few questions. They will have seen the questions that I'm interested in learning about, and the whole purpose is to have them provide information that will be teaching moments, gems or techniques or skills, etc., that anyone can use to start down the path towards ranking themselves, if that's what they want to do. So we're going to start at the very top with a lady that happens to be the first in North America. How often do you get a chance to be the first in a network marketing company? Doesn't happen often. And it does happen that some people squander that opportunity. I have known people who were given that opportunity and just flubbed it, didn't do anything, kind of cruised thinking that that's the way that they were entitled to something. But that's not the case with our Jana Jorgenson. Jana had already had a lot of experience in the field with several companies. And when she was given a chance to look at this and consider this and meet with Dr. Rajan, she made a decision that has impacted on thousands of people already. So I'm not going to take her thunder. I'm just going to start by introducing you to beautiful Jana out in Nanaimo and have her tell us a little bit about what her life was before she was introduced to Galen, and then we'll go from there. So Jana, go for it.
John, that was way too kind. Golly, you're choking me up already. That was so sweet of you. This has turned out to be a very humbling and grateful experience in such a short time, because this is the first time ever that I was attracted to a product so intensely. And I have had a lot of experience in network marketing, a lot of dismal failures and a few really great successes. But one of the things that I learned along the way is that actually the personal growth and the people that I met just increased the value of my life so much. It was the best part of everything. So I know that's going to be the case here, because we already have such a fabulous tribe, and you are all here and you're evidence of that. And that's what makes me so happy, because it's your success that we're after. It's your success we want to celebrate. And it really has nothing to do with me, except that it was serendipitous, and I just took a risk and a little leap of faith, and decided, especially because of meeting Dr. Rajan and Costa and the team, I was just so impressed with how we were going to roll this out for a startup company. And I know we've had our challenges, but it's been just a delirious delight of really great things progressing forward. And I'm happy about that.
So when you had that fateful call from our irrepressible friend Betty Ann Chulumovich, who is one of the master distributors, what was your life like, and why do you think that you were receptive to another opportunity coming your way?
Well, I really didn't know what I was doing. I had made a move to Vancouver Island from Vancouver. I was in another company. Things were not going so well. And I was concerned for all of my people. mostly, and I didn't know how I was going to handle it. And actually, Betty Ann just kidnapped me and took me, and I got on a plane, and I didn't know where I was going or who I was meeting. So, but I was open. So that was great because, you know, being open is a good thing. But also, I was going to have to evaluate when I got to the other end, and I knew that. And I really thought it was going to be a flat out no, to tell you the truth. I just thought I was going on a great little trip to San Diego, and that would be it. It was not the case. After meeting Dr. Rajan and hearing his mission and vision, people helping people, and he wanted to prolong the healthy life of not just hundreds or thousands or hundreds of thousands, but he said right off the bat, millions of people. When he said millions of people to me, I automatically went from the now to the future. And I saw the picture. It was so real to me, and I just was overwhelmed because I thought this is the greatest thing that could happen, provided the product works well. And I came back home just waiting for the samples to arrive, and then that was the next step.
But I think, to your credit, because there was no infrastructure, it wasn't even legal in Canada yet, as far as I know. They had no product coming into Canada. You didn't just sit there. You had to do something to build the base. So what was it? You know, I know, but why don't you share with the rest of us, what was it that you did from the very first day that you got back from San Diego?
Okay, thanks, John. Well, I knew that if I was going to do this, I had to do it right, and I had to do it big. And I thought, I've never been given a chance like this ever to be one of the first people. So I laid out my groundwork. I had papers and papers and papers, like just scads of papers. Everything was done by hand, and I started calling people and talking to them, and then getting them to talk to their people, because it was more important to me to get them to talk to their people and to their people, because that is what I love to do, is to teach leverage. And I know that the binary works very well with leverage if you work it. So the most important thing was getting every single person qualified. So each person had to get their 2 or 4 or 6 people right away. Just get some people on the map for themselves so that they could launch their business. And that was, you know, in early December, and of course Christmas came and it was very busy. And January 3rd, I started to go to work, 18 to 20 hours a day.
So,
And
correct me if I'm wrong, at the very beginning, when you had no packages and, you know, really no business yet, were you just positioning people in the structure and getting people in place such that when things came, then you would have something to work with? Was that the strategy, or, because, you know, what did you have to offer them at the beginning?
no, nothing other than, you know, you're going to get in first, and whoever comes in next goes in the next little circle. I was just drawing circles on the paper,
Yes.
and they were just getting positioned as they came in, very authentically and genuinely, and just rolling it out.
So even though that was at the very beginning and when there wasn't anything, that still is not a bad strategy for a brand new person starting today, to actually have a plan in place on paper with a number of circles, take their list, figure out who the strongest people are there, and literally start mentally positioning those people where you want them, and then go after them and say, I've got a spot specifically for you. Would that be a good strategy for people to
That
use?
is a perfect strategy. That is like a launch strategy.
Okay.
And every single person can do that. Even when they've made the decision and they've come in, now they can execute their launch strategy,
Mm-hmm.
and they can just start calling everybody they know, and whoever comes in first gets that circle, and the next one gets the circle. It really doesn't matter how big or little they are. They take a position, and that position, that decision making, becomes the value for them.
Okay. Now, at the beginning, when you had really just, you were selling a pipe dream, really, at the beginning,
Yeah.
when, you know, obviously, when you went to people that you'd already worked with before in other programs, you had some credibility. But the people that had never worked with you before, when you went to them and said, we've got a product coming from Malaysia, and this is what it does, but nobody knows because we've never had it here yet, and we don't have any real testimonials. How were you received? How much skepticism? How much belief? How much negativity did you have to overcome?
Well, for the first time, John, honestly, because the product is so unique and because I started trying it in November,
Oh,
and I started giving it to family and friends of friends, and people were calling me with their incredible testimonies.
oh, really?
And I honestly had to question them. I thought they were making it up. I said, "Are you sure?" Because they were telling me that, they had swollen joints and their fingers had little nodules and they were all gone like in 3 weeks. And they were starting to feel better and they were sleeping better and they had more energy and their pain was gone. And it was astounding to me. So I used their testimonies. I used other people's stories because I was pretty healthy and I was really skeptical and I was almost second guessing how I was feeling. I did have more energy. I had a more full type of energy, but not a hyper kind of thing, very balanced and calm. And I was sleeping better. I needed less sleep. Well, I wasn't getting any sleep actually, but I felt really good. I could get up at 5:30 in the morning and get going again. And I did that for, 27 days until we launched. And then we went full out into a 90-day run. So I worked solid from January 3rd until April 10th when my husband said, "I think you need a break." And I said, "I can't take a break." And he said, "Well, we've got to do something different other than you sitting on that stool looking at your computer and on the phone and at the ocean." And I said, "Well, the ocean's great. It's okay." So we got in the car and we drove to California and we started working with people down there. And that was fun. It's kind of what Dory's doing right now. It's just so great to get out there in the field and meet everyone.
Right, right. So one of the things that you said just a minute ago, it was highlighted for me again today when I had lunch with my tax accountant, who's already in Igalen with us and has had a terrific result with Emulin in the way of blood glucose reduction, etc. And she said to me, "John, I'm going to be honest with you, and don't mind if I'm really frank." She was, hedging her bets with me, thinking that I'm not somebody that takes feedback well, which, as you probably know, that's not true. But she said she was trying to tell me to point out to me that maybe the reason that I'm not growing as fast as I'd like to be growing is because I get too technical. As a doctor, I tend to get into the sugar and the doctors and the this and the inflammation and all the other stuff. And she said, what I've been doing is really talking to people about my story and how I feel, how my brain fog's gone, how I have the energy, how I can sit at my computer and do 5 or 6 tax returns in a row without. And it reinforced again the old adage that facts tell, but stories sell. So
Yeah.
again, what you were highlighting just reinforces that each one of us, one of the most important things that we can do at the very beginning is literally be a user of the product and then have a story. And even though we know very little about the technicality of all this stuff, be a storyteller. And Dory's a master at that. You are, and Betty Ann and some of the other people. But would you elaborate a little bit more on that, on the storytelling aspect?
The story is everything here. And well, the fact that you're talking about your tax accountant, that whole trip to California was a write-off because it was a prospecting trip. So at the same time that I was working and enjoying the beautiful weather and meeting people, I was just thinking, this is unbelievable. I'm getting paid every week and I'm just traveling around meeting people. It was craziness. And it was so real because it was happening in real time. So the stories are great. And I went from town to town to town and everyone had an amazing story. They were getting better. Their pain was gone. They were losing some weight. They were, their body was sculpting. They were losing fat. They were, being able to do things that they couldn't do before. They were, gaining a quality of life again in very short periods of time. I've never experienced this. I haven't had one person say to me, "I'm not interested in hearing what you have to say about that." I've said little sometimes, And people have called or texted me like a few days or a week later and said, I need that thing you were talking about. And I'm like, what thing? And they're like, well, you said that thing that makes you feel better. They don't even know what it is. You don't even know the name of it. How do you think you need it? And they said, well, because I heard it in your voice.
And we had gotten to where you were just telling me about your California trip and getting to write it off and how much fun you were having. And I wanted to ask you about the dreaded list, okay? Because in my experience, you're the queen of the why. You do such a terrific job of making sure that people understand that that's one of the most important things in building this business. And, I agree with you on that. But the second big issue is people not making a list big enough or editing their list or keeping people off the list and saying, I'm having a chicken list, as it were. Did you do that, or did you just say everybody I've ever known gets a call?
I just started calling people, and I honestly, some of the people, of course, that I called at first were people that I worked with that I really loved and respected, and I wanted to work with again.
Sure.
And so they were right on board, and that was great. I think the biggest thing with your list is that it isn't big enough, and you don't call enough people, because if you just happen to have a run of 10 no's or 12 no's or 20 no's in a row, which can happen, then you get very disillusioned, and it's not reality, because you need to have the numbers to deal with the no's. So you're going to definitely get 1 or 2 out of 10. So if you go through 20 no's, you know that the next 40 are probably going to be, you're probably going to get, 8 or 10 yeses out of those. So you have to use the numbers in your favor. And the chicken list. Here's the thing with the chicken list. No one is going to hurt you if you just call and ask their opinion of something, or I've started something really exciting. I really respect your business acumen. I thought of you. It may or may not be for you. Or you can take them out of it right away. You can say, I know this is not for you. And they go, what do you mean? Because most business people are pretty savvy. So if you just use a couple of those words, you can change the outcome of that call, and you can take the fear away right before you even pick up the phone. Because you're not going really after them. You're just asking if they know anyone. I'm opening Australia soon in my business. You are? Yes, and I'm looking for some key people. I know you're very, very well equipped in the business area, and you probably have a few contacts. Maybe you even know someone from Australia, and I just thought I'd give you a quick call.
Because
it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Well, it's the whole idea of edifying somebody rather than calling it by yourself. You can use your upline in a three-way call, and then you edify your upline, and then you use the upline to actually call your hot prospect or the chicken list prospect. Because if he says no to you, if you're vulnerable and you're new, you could just take that very personally and kind of slink away. But if he says it to me or to you now, when we're a little more expert in the business and we know what to do, if he says no, it's just like skin off a duck's back. It's no big deal because we're not invested in it. So there's the other adage is do not be attached to the result. So if a person says no, all it is a no. It wasn't a rejection. He didn't say you're ugly. He didn't say you're a bad person. He didn't say you're O.J. Simpson in today's news. He didn't. He didn't. You don't take it personally, and you just move on. Now, obviously, when you're brand new in the business, one of the things that we try and do is insulate the brand new person from making too many calls on their own, because if they get too many no's in a row, they might just say goodbye. I didn't have that big an investment. I can just leave, and it didn't cost me much. So we try and insulate them by doing a few three-way calls with them. Now, is that what you did at the beginning?
No, because there really wasn't.
There wasn't anybody to use, right?
There wasn't anybody in the company. There wasn't anybody really to use except Dr. Rajan, and he probably would have been mad if I called him every day.
Yeah, right.
It was, I just had such a good feeling because of the product.
Right.
And like I said, I've never had that feeling. I've seen a lot of great products and they were great, but this one was grand. It was spectacular. We were hearing amazing things. And I like one product to start with. I think it's a much simpler, simplicity is everything. It's much easier for someone to just talk about one product than to learn a whole product line of hundreds of products.
Right.
It is just so much easier.
Mhm. Now, the other thing that I've been very impressed with you is you are one of the biggest proponent of learning from, personal growth and learning from some of the specialists in the business like Eric Worre and Danny Johnson and Mark Yarnell, people like that, because you're forever telling us, all of your downline, hey guys, listen to this guy. Hey guys, listen to this gal. Tell us more about your conviction about learning from the experts.
Well, I know that this has evolved because of what I put in place 5 years ago. When I did my why, I spent 9 hours on a pool deck in Florida with another company having to answer some very serious questions about my 5-year plan. And in doing that, I didn't realize at the time, obviously, that it wasn't going to be that company or the one after that. It was Galen, because I needed to find all of the pillars that I was looking for in that why. And they weren't there in that company and they weren't there in the next company. They're here. We have them all. We have that foundation that we need to be able to move forward very confidently for the future. And you can work in the now, but if you don't have a vision for the future, then it's very, very hard for you to think big and bigger. And you have to do that. It's really important. And personal growth is a big component in that, because if you can just listen to a little, video from Eric Worre every single day, he has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. And there are some fabulous interviews with some of the biggest people in the industry. It is so inspiring, and it brings you up again. And as long as you're a motivated person, you can be inspired. So hopefully you have some work ethic and you love people and you love the stories, and that's really all you need to do. And that's what we do for everyone.
So now that you've got this team that's really expanded to all these countries and it's gone into the thousands, what do you still try and communicate with everybody by email or by phone, or is Facebook and social media the big medium for you now?
No, I like to do it in person. I like to chat with them at least once or twice a week, the leaders. I like to be in touch with them by text here, every few days or every day. We keep a very close contact with one another, and then they keep me on the pulse of their team. One of the things that we have all found that is the most important thing is something we hear all the time, and that is the fortunes in the follow-up. That's something I still have to, remind myself constantly, because I have so many people that I'm talking to that I often have met someone that's really great and I don't follow up as often as I should, because I don't like to push it too much. But if you follow up, you will be surprised at what happens. You will be so surprised. And the reason I know that is that I have the people doing 3-way calls with me all the time because they're doing their follow-up. And I notice that when we're on this, probably the third to fifth exposure, for the most part, that person's in. Because I've been on the call maybe the first time and they've followed up and then they've done their research, and then we're on maybe the third or fourth exposure. And it happened yesterday. A fellow said, he actually stopped me when I was telling the story a few days prior to that and said, I know all about that. I know about health and inflammation and everything. You don't need to go there. And I said, okay, great. That's fabulous. I'm so glad that you know all about that. And what would you like me to, share with you then? And he asked me a few other questions. He said, no, I just don't think that there's enough in this for me and one product and everything. And he's in. He's He was in by the deadline with the gold to platinum.
Okay.
So it's really about the follow up.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to follow up, even if they say no. Just
So
say, well, it's not for you right now, but would you mind if I kept you apprised of our progress and our success? And they'll say yes.
no, absolutely. The follow-up is one of the hardest things to discipline yourself to do because
It
you end
is.
up with so many different pieces of paper everywhere unless you have a good contact manager that kind of keeps you in place. Do you use a contact manager by any chance?
I do. I've just started using one thanks to Bev Ellis.
Which one?
She introduced me to a friend of ours in the industry that's been in it for a long, long time, and he's very organized. And his name's Todd Falcone, and so we're using the Fearless Networker.
Oh, okay. That's it. And is it a free system or is there a charge to it or?
No, there's a charge. Yeah.
Okay. But it's reasonable, right?
It's $29.95 US a month.
Okay. And so that everything's going into that, you do all your notes, it reminds you.
It's got contact pages, it has scripts, it's got everything, absolutely everything.
And
Full on system.
it's called the Fearless Networker
TheFearlessNetworker.com.
by Todd
Right?
Falcone. Okay. Good, good. That's a good recommendation. Um, Now I want to give you a quick anecdote about what happened for me. When Dory called me the very first time, I think it was January 28th or something, I was really not looking for anything else because I had committed to something and, it wasn't working very well. I said, it's another one of those things. I'm done. But what I did when I finally did decide to get on, the first thing I did is I went to the very, very, very bottom of yours and Natasha's page of the tribe, and I worked my way up from comment to comment to comment, from every post and every comment. And by the end of 1 or 2 days, I knew about almost every testimonial and everything that this product is reputed to do for people. And that gave me the conviction that as a health professional, I could talk with confidence about this product. So what I recommend to some people, if they're as obsessive as I am about knowing everything, if you have the time, get on Jana's testimonials page, the iGalen Global Success Tribe testimonials, and just scroll way, way, way down and then start working your way back up and read all the comments. Give it 2 or 3 days, give it a week. By the end of and then capture the ones that really speak to you because there's some amazing testimonials. Capture them, do a screen capture, through your computer, then print them out, put them in a binder with, little sheet protectors. And before you know it, you have 60, 70 amazing testimonials and you become literally impregnable. People can say, well, here, look at what people are saying. So that's just, something that I did. And, I don't know what you think about that.
No, that's great because the stories sell. They really do.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Okay.
can't begin to remember them all. There's so many.
Okay, good. So yeah, testimonials are so important in our business because we're dealing, and of course, with Dr. Rajan really making a point to us recently about the fact that it's inflammation stupid. It's not about diabetes. It's not about this disease or that disease because we're going to get in trouble if we really focus on disease. It's about inflammation and it's about carbohydrates being toxic. So we need to change how we speak. So tell us a little more about your perception on that, because you obviously have talked to him quite a bit more than some of us.
I do, and you see, I've never had the approach of wanting to be knowing everything about the products. I really love the stories. So my mindset never is on knowing all the ingredients, although I happen to know them here, but it's pretty simple. But I really just like the effects or the results or the experiences or the testimonies of people. I think that is our best advertising that we could possibly have. So I've never concentrated on trying to know it all and get into the internet and study everything. I had someone call me today and said they've been studying all day, and I'm like, oh my God. Well, I would be rather calling people and just saying, hey, you should try this. It's just fantastic. You know, you may experience some really good things if you take this for a month or 2 or 3. And that's all I do.
Well, that's, you know, there's the other old adage is KISS, the keep it simple salesman principle, rather than stupid, keep it simple salesman. So that kind of brings us close to the end of our allotted time. One thing that I know, and I've, you know, obviously have known this for quite some time, and I see it with your business in particular, that when you look at the composition of the people in your business, whether it be male or female, the majority of the success, the majority of the growth is happening around women. And there's many, many reasons for that in today's world. Tell us more about your understanding of that dynamic in the business.
Well, I did see that a lot early on in other companies, but I really see that in Idealan, we've got about it's almost like a 50-50. There are so many more men in this business than I've ever seen in any business. And I think it's because we literally appeal to everyone from an unborn baby to an elderly sick person, and then we can throw all the pets into the ring as well. I have so many people whose pets are taking this product, and they're getting better from all their little illnesses that they experience. I just think we've got a really level playing field here, more than I've ever seen.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe it's just my perception. Maybe I tend to focus more on the female faces, maybe.
Possibly.
Possibly. So, okay, so we have Las Vegas coming up.
Yes.
Tell us why we need to be in Las Vegas, please.
Well, events are fabulous because it brings everyone together, and it gives you, if you haven't been able to be a part of an event like that, you can't imagine what the big picture looks like when there are so many people that get together. And some of those meetings will be very valuable for you because you will learn from other people's experience and how they run the business, what they do, how it's worked for them. It's very inspiring. It's fun. It's part of what we do, and it's a write-off. You get to go to Las Vegas for free.
And right now, the company's even wanting to pay your way by
that's amazing.
By having you sell gold or platinum packages. They say, look, do it, and we'll pay your stays. In fact, I know that Debbie on the call has already paid for a good part of her trip with what she's been doing with these gold to platinum promotions. So any last gems that you want to impart before we open the call for a few questions?
I do. What I really want to do is I want to thank all of you for your tenacity, and it's the stick to itness that will give you your game. This is just a game, and everybody's plays out differently. But if you just keep your eye on the goal, and if you really value what we have, we are a very special company. We are a unique category builder. We will never be like a usual network marketing company, because Dr. Rajan's mission is to just improve people's lives. It's not to make billions of dollars. Chan and Dr. Rajan already are in that category. They want to leave a legacy for their family and for you and your family. So treat it like that. Embrace it. And when you have those bad days, just call one of us. Let us help you out of that, because that's what we have to do. We have to call other people when we're feeling down. We have bad days too. Believe me, ask my husband. He'll tell you. He has to live with me. And It's not easy some days because it's pretty stressful. But this is what we do, and it allows us to have freedom. It allows us to do things that most people only dream about. And when you have that, there is no price tag you can put on that. So, you can build it fast or you can build it slow. And building it fast just means more exposures because we only do 4 things in this business. We recruit, we train, retain, you're all here, and we fully pass the baton of leadership to you. And when you take that and you say, I don't need you anymore, I don't need you right now, I'll call you when I need you, we're really happy. That means you've got your game on. So just do that.
So that's the essence of duplication.
It is.
Okay, good. So Jana, I'm going to unmute everybody and we'll see what kind of questions come up. It may get really noisy, so we'll just pick whoever I hear first and then mute people again so we don't get organized confusion. But let's just see what happens here. I'm going to unmute everybody. And does anybody have, here, unmute all? Come on. There we go. Anybody have a question for our friend Jana? You're all unmuted. Anybody have a question? Hi, Eileen.
Hi. I just want to say I love my Jana. She's my lovely pineapple. I'm sitting here on Gabriel Island in Nanaimo, just off of Nanaimo, at my family cabin. And I've joined into this meeting, and that's what, this business does, is it allows you to join in from wherever. And if you need support, Jana's the go-to person. I love her. I can honestly say she's one of my mentors. And I look forward to talking with this group on the 10th. I think that's when we're set up, John.
Yep.
And I can honestly say iGalen has changed my life.
That's excellent.
And thank you. And thank you, Jana, for introducing me to iGalen.
Well, thank you.
That's beautiful. She's living proof of the dream because she is living her dream. She's just, here she is, and she's on our beautiful island. And
anybody else with a question for Jana?
Yes, I do, John.
Hi.
Hi. I had come from multi-level marketing for a long time. I was an AM, and the first 9 months I became direct distributor. So I know about all the calling. I left it because I burnt out. When I moved up and had quite a volume. My largest volume was in Mexico. And I'd missed the house meeting. So this whole new game of multi-level and social media doesn't seem to be moving for me as well. And I don't really know. I know who my immediate upline is, and a couple of above that. But from that point on, I have no idea who they are. And I'm used to reaching up to those people. So one, I need to find out who they are because they can sometimes motivate me or give me information and insight to this business. I come from a vitamin selling background. So I took our store that we had just opened, I took it to the #1 position out of 11 stores within a matter of a year because I believe in supplements and I believe in what I do and I love this business. So when Emulin came around, I actually knew of Emulin at GNC.
Right.
And I kind of knew that they were moving, and I looked at the product and I laughed. And I'd ask them, what does this product do? They never knew the answer. And I'd walk out and I'd laugh because I knew what carb blockers were about. I knew what Allium did. And I just thought, this is a very interesting combination. So I'd leave the store and say, I wonder why we don't have it in our store. And I'd keep asking the company, why don't we have it at Vitamin Shop? We moved as much volume, if not more volume, than GNC, even though they had more stores. So, make a long story short, I just kind of missed all the product knowledge and actually the home meetings. And people say, well, that's old-fashioned. It's actually not if you have a local group.
Yeah.
People need to be educated. People need to be able to emulate what you're doing. Social media seems to be, to me, kind of cold. It's not personable, or at least I haven't learned how to make it personable.
Okay.
And so by Jana talking, she just gave me a whole new, okay, I can go back to my old way of how I know how to build a business.
Excellent.
And so now I know what I know how to implement, what I need to implement to get this business going. Because when it comes down to it, when I said I knew about MLM before, I didn't know the extent of it. Now that I know the extent of it, when somebody gets to talking to me, they almost can't get away from me because I'm the type where I'll talk and talk and talk, kind of like I'm doing now. But I know product well, and I dig into product. My first thing was to go to PubMed as soon as I heard of it. First article popped up. So PubMed told me everything about its difference between metformin and that product. So when my brother came to me, I put him on it immediately. He went to insulin, kept him off insulin. So the
Chris,
product kind of
Chris, let me just
it's a
jump in
product
here.
I believe in so far. Yes, John?
Chris, let me just jump in here and direct you to the chat line. I've just put in my Gmail account. Send
Okay.
me a quick note, and I'll try and connect you with who your upline is, so we can continue a couple more calls here and or questions, and kind of terminate the call in a timely manner. But great to have
Okay.
you on the call, and you're going to do fantastic with your background. So just send me a
Smells
quick
so
note,
good.
and I'll help you out.
I love the product.
Okay,
It's a
bud.
great
Thanks.
bar none.
All right. Any other questions at all? Debbie, do you have something to say?
I'm just enjoying listening for a change. Once I open my mouth, I don't stop very well, so I thought I better not.
Well, okay. All right.
No,
Well,
I'm very grateful to you as well, John, for being the second person who offered this to me, and me, thank heaven, saying no to the first one. We'll put it that way.
he's not on the call. Okay, good, Debbie. That's great. So, hey, anybody that's in our business in terms of Mike Stansel, et cetera,
Hello.
that is on the call here now.
Hi, Mike.
Greetings.
Debbie's in a position to get to Ruby this week if you put somebody down that left leg. So, Mike, I'm throwing out a challenge to you. Get somebody in on Sunday to help her get to Ruby. Okay, we're all trying to get her over into Ruby territory. Okay. Well, Jana,
Right.
any last words before we shut her down?
Just go out there and have a really great week and win that trip to Vegas, because the more that you do right now until October, we'll see you on stage. You will get your trip for free or a lot of it paid, and you're going to have the time of your life.
Yeah. Okay, well, guys, thank you so much. And Jana in particular, thank you for being willing to be the first. Folks, bring the rest of your team onto the call next Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. The next person, I think, is Michelle Vigar. And then on the following week after that, it'll be Dory. So we'll see you next week. Thank you, folks. I'm ending the recording.
Thank you.